One of the biggest problems that I see successful game developers have is that they fall into the sin of slot. And unfortunately, I feel like I fell into that trap to a certain degree as well. If we just take a look, once you have a successful game, you know, this is not my flex, but 96 days ago, basically, yeah, like 96 days ago, we released MO98, you know, this game. We're almost at 500 reviews and we actually crawled out of mixed because we kept pushing some updates. And it has made, you know, there's no other way to say this, it has made us good money. Pretty good money, I would say. Almost 100K in, yeah, almost 100 days, basically. And the problem with making that much money, especially if you're a studio like us that has been on fight or flight mode, or like not fight or flight, but like struggle to survive mode, where our general like monthly income was like $2,000 a month or something. Suddenly it feels like there is not that much pressure anymore. And this is a problem that I also see with other developers. And I knew that this was a problem before MO98 came out. There's actually like a Patreon video where I even talked about it. So I'm like, yeah, you see all of these game developers, and once they get a successful game, they kind of like, you know, they disappear from YouTube, or they kind of stop like existing because, you know, there's less pressure. Whereas if this game would have made us like 10K or something, it was like just enough to keep us scraping by, then it's like, okay, go, go, go. We need to make the next game. And whilst I also was like, we need to make the next game, it took an unfortunately embarrassing amount of time. Like I said, 96 days since the announcement of our next game. And to put this number in perspective, 96 days, this is the same amount of time as it took us to develop MO98. MO98 took exactly 100 days, basically, from start of development to launch. And what did we do in the last 96 days? Honestly, not as much as I was hoping for. But that's changing now. And I just announced our next game, Silicon Architect, because I realized I need to stop being a slot. I realized this, I think it was like late last week. So now it's Friday, the day I'm recording this. I realized, okay, we are kind of, we're going the wrong way. We're steering the ship in the wrong direction because we are getting consumed by slotness. Everything is fine because we have 2 other games, by the way, they're like in development, but it was like their store pages were supposed to be out months ago by now. We were supposed to join the June Next Fest with those games, but getting the success of MO98 made us suddenly go like, who cares? We can take some more time. We can, what's an extra 2 weeks? And if you say, what's an extra 2 weeks? For 5 like times of 2 weeks in a row, suddenly it's like past the middle of the year. It's almost August now. And we're like, it's August and we only have one Steam page like released, announced, everything like that. We're not on the right track because my goal is to keep making games. But also I felt like it was hard to make games. So this is a game that probably nobody saw coming unless you were a patron, Silicon Architect, where one thing I realized from MO98 is I like the UI games. And this one is, if you can't like see the vibe, this is Windows XP in this case, where you're designing CPUs in an incremental game. You know, you can go to the store page or something yourself if you want. And we also had 2 other games actually that are like in development, and that the store pages are like somewhat close to release, but also not really. So like the 2 games we have, one is Desktop Island. These screenshots and things like that are out of date, and this store page isn't live yet. Where this game is probably going to be the next one that we're going to put live, which is a co-op incremental farming sim. At the bottom of your screen, it's a mouthful, but co-op incremental farming sim is the best way, like more like an idler. And then the other game, this was the one that we started on, me and William, right after we released MO98, is Net Profits, which is a capitalistic fishing incremental game. The problem with Net Profits is kind of like, whilst some of these screenshots may look good, we're running into some art issues that, because we're using for the PSX assets, we're using a like contractor that we pay, not like contractor, but like we outsourced it because I can't make PSX graphics, but kind of stuff happened and we are still waiting on some assets. Like this game is probably still like at best a month or like 3 weeks from store page coming live, coming announced. Like the gameplay is mostly there, but it just doesn't look good enough yet. Desktop Island, this is better. Thomas keeps telling me like, oh, this game is ready. I think some of the UI, like this is still old UI, needs like an extra pause. I'm not happy with it. And then we need to like record some of the gameplay still. And I'm also just scared of this game kind of because it's a 2D pixel art game. And, you know, I think they're always harder to sell. Like, you know, these screenshots are like, I don't know. The game looks better now. This store page was made, I think, 2 months ago or something like that, because that's how long we've been waiting with this. And then enter Silicon Architect. This was kind of a side project that I started by myself because I just like prototyping. And I don't know why these two games take longer, Net Profits and Desktop Island, than Silicon Architect. But I realized, okay, I'm juggling too much. That's kind of the realization I had the last few weeks, where also William was working on Net Profits, Thomas was working on Desktop Island, I was working on Silicon Architect, but also Thomas and William still needed me. And then I was spreading myself too thin at the same time, of like, I shouldn't be working on Silicon Architect, I should be giving my attention to the other boys as well. And then also I was like, but who the fuck cares? Because we're making money anyway. Like we were at like 10K revenue or something in the last month as well, which is good. But the problem was I was like starting to like really get like mentally fucked by the fact that we weren't shipping anything. We weren't pushing out games. We weren't doing anything. It's like all the work on your games that you do, or like your prototypes, doesn't matter for the most part if they do not see the light of day. And that's what I also realized, of like, I don't want to stop working on Silicon Architect because I had some good momentum with this game. I actually can show you here. I started developing this game. There was like a first version April 24th, but that was a dumb desktop idler idea. Forget about that. I truly started developing, as you can see here, Silicon Architect V2 on like June 20th to June 21st. So a little bit more than a month. You can also see here, like I added Steamworks very quickly at the start. And I can see here, I have 93 hours played. Though that means total development time so far is like 95 hours or something, which I think is honestly a pretty good pace. About like 25 hours a week or something. And then I worked on the YouTube channel. I worked on other stuff as well. And I actually also took a week of vacation to go to Belgium with my lovely wife. But I was really like, we can't leave the summer vacation, kind of like the summer period, without having a store page live. So, okay, I realized I need to ship a game. So that's exactly what I did. I think I woke up basically yesterday morning, Thursday morning. I was like, today is work day. I said it to my wife and I put on like my shirt and she's like, are you stupid? Why you wear that? But I was like, I need to get into the mindset of, okay, today is a day that we're just going to grind hard. And today as well, which is why there's an empty can of Monster next to me. And originally I hoped that yesterday would be the day that I could already have the trailer ready, because that was the main thing. The main thing stopping you usually is like the game has like some things that visually need to look better. That's kind of what Desktop Island is struggling with for the most part as well. Like there's like that one thing that always stands out. Maybe it's like a UI thing that doesn't make sense or something else. And then you fix that, but then there's like another thing that's still like not high enough quality that stands out then. And it's kind of like an infinite game of whack-a-mole. But then yesterday I was like, okay, no, we're going to work on the UI to get the game in like a presentable state, like this, for example. And still, like, you know, I think probably this, the layout preview of like previous runs is a little bit too rough, but I'm like, you know, this is not core anymore. I don't care. I think it's more important to get it out there and we can still update it otherwise. I think quality-wise, this game is good enough. And then also I needed validation, because if we go back to our commit history, so on June 21st, I started development. And then I think somewhere around here, June 26th, actually here. I think actually June 29th or July 1st, this is when I did my first playtest with the Patreon boys. Shout out to the Patreon boys. And then as you can see, I went on vacation for 10 days and nothing really happened, or like nothing got committed. So I knew, okay, the game has a little bit of legs. I really like this game, but I can't justify spending more than 100 hours on something that hasn't gotten like wider playtesting, wider validation, wider people like it. And it wasn't validation as in like, oh, should this game exist, yes or no, but more of like what direction to go with this game. Because this game could go two ways. Also why it actually started originally as a desktop idler, but I think actually it's a genre with a bunch of issues. I was like, I can just make this a real game instead. Then the question is, do we go more in the idle direction? Do we go more into like the Zachtronics direction? Do we go more into like the dumb incremental direction? And that's kind of what I wanted to figure out now. But I was also like, I don't want to do an extra playtest without missing out on the marketing beat of announcing my store page. So that's why the store page is out. So yesterday was work day, like I said, and I actually managed to get the build completely done, but no trail. And I was like, it was like 7 p.m. and then the wife wanted attention. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to still spend time with the people around me that I love. So this morning I woke up, no shirt today, just a white shirt. But I'm like, okay, today is work day number 2. I'm going to make the trailer. I'm going to send it out. I'm going to do like all of the marketing beats of the checklist, basically, for making your Steam store page. I think, I'll link it down below, but for those who didn't know it, there's like this store page checklist that I did a while back. Basically everything in here, except the 7 screenshots, and then like the variety is there. And, I was like, hey, this is actually a pretty good checklist. So once again, link down below. Because also like, there's a little bit too little, like there were 2 more windows that are not visible here, but that I know, like quality assurance, as you can see. There's like 0 UI for it. I know what I want to do, but I was also like, if I want to implement a UI for this, we're looking at another 2 weeks. And like making it like screenshot worthy and all of that. And I was in that fight against Slot once again. And that's also the thing of like, at some point, I think it's better to ship the game if your mental state is like collapsing too much because you're not shipping anything. At least for me, that's part of my identity. I'm the game dev YouTuber who actually ships games. So I don't want to spend months and months on end without really having any games announced. Maybe one side thing I want to say as well of like how I changed my development style a bit for this game. As you can see, like I stayed moderately consistent. I stopped like doing like major commits. One of the things that I did that I don't know how to explain this, but that changed kind of my development style. Right now I'm sitting at my desk. That's where you're recording. And it's kind of like a laptop, but it's like a 16-inch pretty big laptop. And then I have my big ultra wide. It's not something that I really take with me because like every single USB port is plugged in and there's like stuff like this interfaces like on top of my computer. What I actually did when we got the first payout for M198 is like we had enough money from like macOS sales that I could afford to buy like the base model 13-inch MacBook Air M5. This thing is amazing. I'm in love with it. And I think it's part of the reason why Silicon Architect was able to release so fast with like that fast development pace, because it's just so small and light that I could basically easily do the no 0 days approach. Every single day I could just wrap out the MacBook Air, even if I just had like 15 minutes wherever I was, and then work on something, have a build, have a feature. I always have my like odds and end list. There's a lot of things. And it's like, okay, I'm just gonna do like a few things on this list. And even if I do nothing else because I have to like do videos or I have to help Thomas or William with their game, every day we make some progress. And I think that definitely helped as well of like a lot of like incremental small progress on my incremental game. I don't know. So yeah, along with that, along with the Steam page announcement, I do also have an actual like itch page if you want to playtest the game for yourself. It's mainly bug-free. It runs in the not window mode, but like browser mode. That was an issue with M198 where the web build just didn't work. Here it does work. So yeah, I can put the core, I can put the heatsink on top of it, and we can run our benchmark. If you want to try it out, try it out. I don't know, this video was kind of just, I wanted to talk to you about kind of how I've been feeling and the concept of slot. Figuring out, okay, if your project kind of is like stalling, I think at some point you need to decide, what are we going to do? Am I going to lock the fuck in? And I think I mentioned this in like this recent sunk cost fallacy video. So I'm like, figure out a way to in the next 2 weeks make something playable and make something I can show and get more feedback, because that's going to like boost up your motivation bar again. And if the answer to that is no, maybe we need to like skip this game. We're not going to actually be making the game, because whilst a game is good, if the game doesn't ever see the light of day, whether that's now or a year into the future, it's kind of a waste. And I think that's something maybe that I wanted to talk to you guys about that. And maybe this also leads me into, if you have that situation where you also want to just talk to me about your game, there's actually a coaching offer. I don't know if a coaching offer is the right term, but like link down below, which is called Ship It or Skip It. Hey, where it is like you send me your build and I'd look at it. I give you some third-party objective feedback of like, should you keep working on this? Is this good? Is this bad? What do we do with this? Do we have to pivot this? Because I'm still very ready to pivot this game as well. Like I said, depending on Zectronics, passive idler, active incremental game, like one of those 3 directions kind of, and just get your game out there. I think that's the important thing. Your game even if it's not on Steam, on itch, for example, like, you know, honestly, you can make really pretty itch.io pages. Can I just say that? Like, I think this is a pretty nice looking itch.io page. This is kind of a cheat, by the way. This is an image. So this is the Steam store page thing here. Like, this game is all available on Steam. Screenshotted this, made like a nice cutout. And then if you click this, this is actually a UTM link that goes to the Steam page to get more wish lists. If you are making an itch.io page, do that. And it's like, this still feels like, you know, this is a real game without having had to spend $100 on setting up the Steam store page credit. Now, I don't actually know what the analytics are so far. We have gotten 47 views, 69 views, it says here. 47 today, yeah. Like I said, I just announced this. I just posted in like also like our Discord server. So yeah, 1241 right now is 120. That like, there's a new game. And then also like wish lists are still at 0. Are they still at 0? Yeah, they're still at 0. I have no idea how this game is gonna go. I'm gonna be honest. I think this definitely can be a $10,000 game. I do not think this game is going to overtake MO98. I think the fantasy just isn't there as strongly. But you know, coming up with an even better idea that is also something feasible that I want to make, and all of those things in the like Venn diagram of game you want to make, game you can make in game markets once. You need to find that, and this was definitely a game that I wanted to make, and that I think there will be some carryover from MO98 because it is in that like Windows vibe UI. Of course, the fantasy, it doesn't have MO in the name, but I still think it can be a good game. I think some other stuff that I really want to just like maybe it's a separate video, but like step number 1 when I made this prototype was like polish the shit out of the game feel, make placing down components on the grid feel good. And some things like that, I'm going to maybe tell you in a different video if that's something you're interested in, of like how I prototype games. Let me know if that's something that you're interested in. I think I'm going to wrap it up here because this video is getting pretty long. Silicon Architect, go and give the playtest version a go, I would say. And otherwise, yeah, think about your own game. What's stopping you right now between I have a build, but nobody really knows about it. Maybe you don't even have a build, but you just have a project that nobody really knows about. And I have something that I can share with the world to show my vision, to show what I want to do, and then hopefully get some level of external validation. How far is that gap between those two? And is that gap something that you can bridge in the next 2 weeks? Even if that means maybe, you know, not every feature, not every mechanic is going to be in there. As long as the core gameplay loop is in there already, I think that is an important thing. You know, I can't show you anymore, but like the original store page for MO98 also looked a lot more raw and unfinished than this. Now, yeah, of course, it looks like a great game, but back when the game first got announced, I think it was like 3 weeks of development or something. There was a lot of bare bones and like kind of like rough around the edges stuff as well. So don't just look at finished games, look at the work in progress games as well. Anyways, that's all I had to say. Thank you very much for watching. This is hopefully the next game in our road to $1 million studio. If you want to follow us on that road to $1 million studio, then be sure to head down below and subscribe because we upload these videos 2 times a week and you can just get the updates of whatever I'm doing. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.